Hi there. So you are hearing on the news right now that energy prices are going to go up massively. There's inflation, highest inflation since 1990s. So what can we do to overcome this? Maybe you're worried about the rising cost of energy, or maybe you simply want to protect the planet and use less energy in your home. So there are two ways to do this, and that is the beauty of upgrading the energy efficiency of your home is twofold. It does save you money, well, threefold actually. It saves you money and it makes your home more comfortable and enjoyable to be in, and makes more of the space available for you to use. If you live in an older home particularly, maybe you might cut out using some of the spaces in your home because they're too cold in the winter. And it can also help you to cut your carbon footprint and help you contribute more positively towards reducing climate change. So hi there. I'd love to know if you are more interested in saving money or in the climate change and protecting the planet benefits of cutting energy use in your home. Please let me know below. Is it eco or is it the cost and the personal benefits? So there are two basic ways to improve your home. And somebody's just rung the doorbell and I don't know who that is, but I'm not going to answer it. So one is insulation and the other is ventilation. So it's really important to have ventilation. Yay, we've got some eco, great. I'm also all about eco, but obviously saving money and feeling more comfortable at home, you know, they're great side effects. So insulation and ventilation are really important. You need to have ventilation. It's vital to have ventilation, but having too much ventilation of the wrong kind that's uncontrolled kind of leads you to this like an indoor wind chill factor. And so it's important to cut out those extra unwanted and unnecessary drafts and infiltrations of air into your home. That's a huge one. And the other one is to insulate. So adding insulation so that you are not losing the warmth from your home. And so most of us, or many of us, sorry, maybe not most, but I'd say a lot of people have got their roofs insulated. And that's, you know, lots of companies have been going around and insulating roofs, the ones that are easy to insulate anyway, where they just lay like rock wool insulation over your ceiling and your top floor within the loft space. That is the quickest and easiest way to upgrade your insulation in your home. And we lose about a quarter of our heat loss through the roof. So that's important to do. The thing is that have you ever had the experience where you've worn a woolly jumper and then you've gone outside and it's quite windy, and that woolly jumper that was keeping you nice and warm and cozy inside where there was not much wind, as soon as you step out and you're in the wind, it has no benefit at all to you. You feel still really cold. And then if you put like a windproof jacket on, especially something that's like breathable, like a Gore-Tex, put that windproof jacket on over your woolly jumper, and suddenly that very thin fabric protects you from that heat loss that's the wind chill factor, and makes you suddenly feel absolutely fine, warm enough. And if you're wearing a windproof jacket that's not breathable like a Gore-Tex, and you can get that sort of sweaty feeling because the perspiration is not able to evaporate, not able to get out. And conversely, is that the right word? Alternatively, if you are wearing something like a Gore-Tex, like a breathable type of windproof jacket, then that perspiration can escape. You don't get that sort of sweaty kind of feeling within that woolly jumper and the waterproof jacket. So this is kind of the effect that you're wanting to create in your home. You're wanting to add the wool, but also you want to make sure that you're adding the windproof jacket. And the problem with that sort of standard, let's throw a couple of 100 mils of insulation into your loft space, is that often it's not performing very well because of the wind chill factor that's going across your loft. What you'll find is that there depends on, all of this is very dependent on your specific roof construction. The details of your roof construction can have a massive impact on this. But if you go up into your loft space and you can feel air movement in that space, then what you will find is that without a vapor permeable membrane, a breathable membrane, sandwiching your insulation that's within your loft, then you are going to have a wind chill factor affecting the performance of that insulation. And so you are effectively, your loft insulation is like having a woolly jumper on and standing outside in the wind and still feeling cold. The woolly jumper is not going to do anything for you unless you have on top of it a thin windproof jacket. And it's the same thing with the insulation in your loft. If you add a membrane to that insulation, and ideally you really need to have that membrane underneath, so wrapping it up over the ceiling joist and then putting the insulation on top of that and then adding another one on top, and that is going to sandwich your insulation between two windproof kind of layers, and that is going to massively improve the performance of that insulation. So you will then, it's a simple thing, but it's all to do with the way that it's installed. That makes all the difference between it being really effective and improving the energy performance of your home, and really not being very effective at all and kind of not entirely a waste of time, but almost a waste of time. So that is my big tip to you is if you have insulation in the loft, great. You need to have at least 300 mil thick of a sort of standard fibre insulation, like a rock wool sort of insulation, for it to be close to ideal. I mean, you'd be much better off having like 400 to 450 mil thick of insulation. That's sort of much more ideal, and that's getting you towards then like a passive house standard of insulation, which is like the gold standard. Obviously, if you're only doing that to your roof, you're not meeting passive house standards in total, because it's a holistic look at your whole building. But increasing your insulation up to 400 mil from, say, if you've just got a minimum of like 100, 150 mil, a lot of people have that minimum amount. That's not really enough. You need more, and add the membrane in to give it that wind chill proof factor. That's your insulation. And the other key thing is the ventilation. I'm going to cut this now so this doesn't get too long, and I'll talk about ventilation in another future video. But this is my tip for you today. What about drafty windows? The house I'm in, the windows are so drafty at the moment, is the only option to replace them. Okay, I will give you a quick answer to that. What you can do, drafty windows, that's in terms of ventilation. You don't want drafty windows. If you have trickle vents to your windows, you don't want to block those up. You want to keep those, because you do need to have a little bit of ventilation, but you do want your ventilation to be controlled. The most important places to have ventilation is bathrooms and kitchens, but you do need a little bit of fresh air coming into your home all the time. In the passive house type standard, they will use that mechanical ventilation system. But if you don't have passive house, like most of us, you do still need to have some natural ventilation. But if your windows are super drafty, then it's best to draft proof them. So what you can do, it depends on the type of window you've got. There's casement windows that sort of open out, there's tilt and slide windows, There's sash windows where they slide. There's so many different kinds of windows, and the way that the windows open makes a difference. And then also you've got the actual glazed panel as well. So if it's single glazed, obviously that's not as effective as double glazed. So 2, 3 ways you can upgrade them. 1, add draft-proof strips. And you just need to use the right draft-proof strips for the type of opening that you have. So it's compression ones for casement, and it's more like brush seals for sash windows and sliding windows. So you add draft-proof strips. You can buy them in kits from DIY shops. And if you've got single glazing or not very effective double glazing, then a quick and cheap solution to upgrade them immediately, rather than, you know, all the process of you know, looking for somebody to replace the windows and all the cost of all of that. So something quick and easy you can do that will improve your comfort levels right now, like you could do it today, and improve your comfort levels, you know, for this winter that we're in right now, would be to buy those, they're like kind of plastic. I don't really advocate use of plastic, but in this case it's a really good solution, and it's kind of like a very fine, very thin plastic that you stick onto your windows with double-sided sticky tape. You stick it on, and then you use a hot air, like a hairdryer, blow a hairdryer on it, and that will sort of shrink it slightly and tighten it, and it sort of has the effect of giving it a double glaze. If it's single glazed, it's really effective, and if it's not very good double glazing, it's effective too. But if you don't want to open that window and you have other forms of ventilation, then you can actually seal it all the way around the frame, so that you can't actually open the window, but it will completely stop all the drafts coming in around the frame. And that's really effective and very low cost. It's like probably around £5 for a pack from most DIY type places. You can buy them online as well. That's a really good way to reduce ventilation, unwanted and uncontrolled ventilation, drafts coming through your window. And then the third and final way to do that really quickly and relatively low cost is to add extra window treatments. So what I mean by that is curtains, blinds, wooden shutters. So the more of that you have, the better. So they've found like even a net curtain improves the energy performance of a window, like reduces the amount of heat loss through a window. So if you layer them up, so if you have like a roller blind and a pair of curtains, and you can get sort of insulating lining for curtains as well, heavy thick curtains and a roller blind, adding those and closing them in the early evening before it goes dark, and not opening them until the morning, will really help to maintain the warmth within your home. So that's how to upgrade windows. I hope that that's been helpful. So ventilation, insulation, drafts, they are all really key, and there are lots of things that you can do right now immediately to upgrade your home and make it more comfortable straight away, whilst perhaps you look then at longer term, more permanent options like upgrade, you know, replacing your roof if it's at that point where it's going to need replacing, and giving it a much higher performing insulation and ventilation control, and also windows. All of these things can be replaced from a construction perspective, but there are lots of littler things that you can DIY to upgrade it and improve it right now. So I'm glad that that's been helpful, and I look forward to coming back and speaking to you again on this sort of topic very soon. Bye for now.